The Vikings were seafaring peoples from Scandinavia, present-day Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, active between the late 8th and mid-11th centuries, a period historians call the Viking Age, circa 793 to 1066 AD. Their expansion was driven by population growth, political competition among Scandinavian elites, advances in shipbuilding, and access to long-distance trade routes. The Viking Age conventionally begins in 793 AD, with the attack on the monastery at Lindisfarne in Northumbria, England, recorded in contemporary Anglo-Saxon chronicles. This event is well documented and marks the first major recorded Viking raid on Western Europe. Over the following decades, Viking groups conducted seasonal raids along the coasts and river systems of the British Isles, Francia, and the Iberian Peninsula. Viking society was not unified. It consisted of independent chieftains and regional kings, supported by assemblies known as things, where free men participated in legal and political decision-making. Society was structured into three main groups: jarls, nobles, carls, free farmers and craftsmen, and thralls, enslaved people. Slavery was an integral part of the Viking economy and trade. By the 9th century, Viking activity expanded beyond raiding into settlement and political control. Danish Vikings settled extensively in eastern and northern England, forming the Danelaw, a region governed by Scandinavian law and custom. In Ireland, Vikings established long-term settlements such as Dublin, Waterford, and Limerick, which became major trade centers. Swedish Vikings, often called Varangians, traveled east along river routes such as the Dnieper and Volga, linking Scandinavia to the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic caliphates. They were instrumental in the formation of Kievan Rus, an early East Slavic state, and served as elite mercenaries in the Byzantine Varangian Guard, documented in both Norse and Byzantine sources. Archaeological evidence confirms that Vikings were heavily involved in long-distance trade, exchanging furs, walrus ivory, weapons, silver, and slaves. Large hordes of Islamic silver coins, dirhams, found in Scandinavia, provide strong material evidence of this trade network. Religion during most of the Viking Age was Norse paganism, centered on gods such as Odin, Thor, and Freyr. Religious practices included sacrifices, blot, and burial rites that varied by region. However, from the 10th century onward, Christianization accelerated due to missionary activity, royal conversion, and political integration with Christian Europe. Viking exploration reached the North Atlantic. Norse settlers colonized Iceland around 870 AD, Greenland in the late 10th century under Eric the Red, and briefly established a settlement at L'Anse aux Meadows in Newfoundland around 1000 AD, confirmed by archaeological excavations. The Viking Age ended as Scandinavian kingdoms became centralized and fully Christianized. The death of King Harald Hardrada of Norway at the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066 is traditionally considered the symbolic conclusion of the Viking Age. Historically, the Vikings were not merely raiders but key participants in the political, economic, and cultural transformation of medieval Europe, leaving lasting influences on law, trade, language, and state formation.